Well, Daniel, great to meet you, and let it roll.
Yeah. All right, guys, tell me if you can see my screen.
Yes.
Looks good.
Perfect.
Perfectly fine.
All right, so I thought I'm gonna, put out a bit of a controversial title for today's topic, the first topic of the day, just to ease into the day, into Sunday. I call it market hacking. Fish your odds before entering a trade. And what I meant by putting this out there is because we ran an investigation on our end, and with the objective of finding out, is it possible somehow to extract hidden information from the market, which will give you insights on how your odds are for your next trade, either a long trade or short trade. Is that even possible? And if it is, if it's useful, and what can you do with this information? And this is the topic I'd like to discuss today. And yeah, but before I do this, let me just give you a quick analogy of what I meant by this. So I'm pretty sure most of you have seen a poker tournament being broadcasted either on TV or on the internet. And what you typically see is, the cards that the remaining players have. In this case, there are two players remaining. Now, this guy here and this guy here. 4 cards have been already dealt. The 5th card is yet to be dealt. And before this card will be dealt, every player of these 2 players has the chance to wager, depending on how he sees the odds or how confident he is to win the next hand. I almost said trade, to win this hand or to lose this hand. So if he's confident, he would probably wager more. And if he's not confident, he may wager less or fold altogether. Now, what we also can see here, and this is only visible to the viewers on TV, are the odds of each player of winning this hand. So in this case, the player number 1 has an 80% chance of winning this hand, and the player number 2 only 20%. But of course, these odds are only shown to the viewers on TV. The players actually do not know these odds because they don't know what the cards are of the other player. But let's just assume for just 2 minutes, somehow the players were able, or one of the players were a card cheat, and he stacked the deck somehow, and he knew or he knows what the cards of the other players are. In that case, he would know what the odds are. And what would you do? Imagine what would you do if you played poker if you knew what your odds are of winning the hand. Of course, you would wager more if the odds are in your favor, or fold if the odds are not in your favor. It doesn't guarantee you that you will actually win this hand because there's still odds, there's still a chance involved. But in the long run, if you had played the odds, you would probably win the tournament because statistically speaking, the odds will be in your favor. Now, what does this have to do with trading, you may ask? Good question. Because we were investigating what if we could bring in the same concept of trying to predict the odds of winning the next trade to the world of trading. That's just a little analogy. What if you knew that perhaps the success rate of your next long trade might be at 73% for you as a trader, and the market, of course, in this case, would lose? So is this possible? And if it is possible, how would you take advantage of this as a trader? What if you knew what the odds of having a successful trade, what the odds are before taking it? What would you do? And again, the answer is quite obvious. You would only take the trades if the odds are in your favor. If they are not, you would stay out of it. And oftentimes, staying out of the trade is the best trade advice that you can get. So now, the topic of this presentation is really to investigate if this is possible. So, but before I do this, perhaps just a few words of who I am. And before I do this, actually, I forgot about this slide, is a little preview. We have actually built a set of self-aware indicators which use some sort of intelligence to predict the odds of your next trade before entering it. So we actually came up with something. What this is, I'm going to show you in a second. But before I do this, just a few words about myself. So my name is Daniel, and I am a managing partner of tradingindicators.com, which is an online store where we provide trading products, mostly indicators, but also some standalone tools. And as I mentioned yesterday, if you saw my presentation yesterday, my background is actually quite a bit different from the background of most of the speakers here. I'm a software engineer by training, and I used to be back in the day, a university professor in software engineering. I taught many courses in this area in software design, programming, architecture, and so forth. I even have a Rate My Professor profile. So if you want to check it out, you can see some of the reviews that my students have given me over the years. Mostly good, some controversial, but it is something like this. But I was always fascinated by trading. So even when I was teaching, I was trading because I had a passion for it. But of course, as a beginning trader back in the day, I made all the mistakes who everybody does when he starts trading, or most people do when they start off trading. I overtraded, I took too much risk, I revenge traded, I held on to losers for too long. And of course, I lost money. It was inevitable the way I was trading. And I took a hard look into the mirror and I realized, wow, trading is hard and I need help. And for me, as a software engineer, needing help meant I need better tools that will help me make better trading decisions. And this is a little bit how the story of tradingindicators.com started, because most of the tools that we have in our store were actually used by ourselves first. And then we realized, well, if they help us, perhaps others will find them beneficial as well. So over the years, I personally have now built, because I was doing most of the work myself in the very beginning, I've built more than 500 indicators and automated strategies. Our indicators in the store are used worldwide by retail traders. We have some institutions, we have trading educators who use them successfully. And hopefully, we have helped clients all over the world to become better traders with our tools. Now, initially, it was mostly me who was doing the development work. Now we have a whole team. We have designers on board. We have mathematicians, software engineers, and traders. And all together, we're trying to build intelligent tools for you out there to make better trading decisions. And these are indicators. We build dashboards, for example, smart apps, fully automated strategies, trading scanners, and so forth. All right. So back to the topic of hand. Now, I should say, before I continue, that, of course, trading is risky and it's not for everyone. If you trade, only use your risk capital, which, should you lose it, will not affect your lifestyle. When it comes to hypothetical performance, which are basically backtest results, keep in mind that these are not necessarily indicative of future performance. All right. So now that this is out of the way, let's go back to the topic at hand. And of course, if you have any questions along the way, please put them into the chat. I think Steve will keep an eye out for them and he will bring them to my attention, should this be the fact. All right, so back to the topic at hand. And the question was, is it possible to somehow predict the odds of your next trade? So can this be done? That's question number one. Well, we have developed a technology which we call instant efficiency technology, which will, based on historical performance, display directly on the chart what was the historical success rate of your long signals and short signals. We'll show it directly on the chart. You don't need to run a backtest or anything. What has from this concept up. It's more or less a real-time backtest, which is performed directly when the indicator is applied to the chart, and we distinguish between long and short trades. Now, as a skeptic, you may come in and say, hey, these are based on historical data. It's based on the history. How useful is it moving to the future? Does historical data actually have predictive power when it comes to a future trade? That's a very valid question, because in every single disclaimer you see, it says hypothetical performance, which basically is backtest performance, is not necessarily indicative for future performance. So it's a very valid question. Is this actually informative? Are these odds telling me anything useful when it comes to my next trade, to my future trade? And we have investigated this. And before I show you what the result of our investigation was, here's a bit of a conclusion already. The conclusion was, yes, it has predictive power, at least when it comes to our indicators, and it will these odds will eventually allow you to make informed trading decisions and only trade when the odds are stacked in your favor. And when you keep up this methodology, when you only trade when the odds are actually beneficial, you will, at least according to our investigation, end up with better results moving forward. Now, how do we know this, and how did we? Why are we confident that this is actually the case? Well, we did just recently complete a very comprehensive back test or portfolio test where we tested a swing trading system. It was applied to the 1-hour chart, and we ran this test from the beginning of 2022. And it was a swing trading system, so trades lasted approximately 1 week, give or take. And we not only picked just one symbol, because you could just be lucky, we picked 84 large US stocks, such as Tesla, Apple, Microsoft, and so forth. And over the course of this test, 6,827 entry signals, both to the long and the short side, were generated and traded. And the way we evaluated this test was we evaluated it as a portfolio test. Basically, what if we had traded all these stocks, our system, all these stocks at the same time as a true portfolio test? Now, here is the result of this test. So the first version looked as follows, where we really traded every single signal. So every signal was traded. So 6,827 signals resulted in 6,827 trades. And this was the performance. So it doesn't look very good, looks actually quite depressing. So not very good. But then we ran this test another time. And in this case, we only traded the signals where the odds at the time of the signal were actually in our favor. And we call this the sweet spot trades. And this was the performance we observed after we applied this kind of filtering. And of course, this is not just an optimization, because we were considering the odds at the time of the signal. So let's say we had a signal on April 2022. Well, we didn't consider the odds at the end of the backtest. No, we considered what were the odds actually in on this particular date, on April 2022. And if the odds were in our favor, we took the trade. And if they were not, we avoided the trade. So in the end, we basically filtered out roughly 1/3 or 2/3 of all trades. We only traded 2,500. If you look at the success rate based on historical data and apply it to the future, it actually can have predictive power when it comes to taking your next trade. So this give us a lot of confidence that what we display on the chart actually has use for the trader. Now, back to what I promised before. So we have actually built a set of indicators around this concept. And we call them self-aware indicators, because basically they analyze how well they have performed, historically speaking, so far, based on some intelligence that we've built in. And based on this information, you as a trader can apply this to make a truly informed decision before entering the trade. Now, how does this work? Well, we have basically summarized these indicators in a pack of 3. Why 3? Well, because we thought maybe by coming up with 3 indicators, every market condition is covered. So if one indicator which is very strong when it comes to trend trading, when the market is trending, one indicator that specializes on finding reversals or pullbacks, and we have one indicator which is specialized on identifying breakouts, what we call lasting breakouts. So a quick overview, what are these indicators? The first one we call 1, 2, 3 strike. It's our trend expert, and it generates a signal whenever a strong trend is confirmed. And we do this our indicator does this by looking at 3 dimensions. We look at directionality, so price needs to move either up or down for quite some time. We look at an increase in volume and an increase in volatility. And if all these 3 factors come together, a signal is generated. The second indicator that we came up with is called divergence cloud. And as the name may suggest, it's based on divergence. It's based on our own custom form of divergence, which we call volatility momentum divergence. And it's looking basically at discrepancies between price move and our underlying indicator. And when a discrepancy is detected, divergence occurs, either bullish or bearish, and an entry signal either in the long direction or short direction is generated. We found that our form of divergence, which looks at discrepancies between price move and volatility, is quite predictive when it comes to identifying upcoming trend reversals or pullbacks. Okay, so that's indicator number 2. And indicator number 3 is called volatility crusher, an indicator designed to find long-lasting breakouts or strong breakouts. And when such a strong breakout occurs, we have observed that it is likely that price will continue in the direction of the breakout for quite some time. And of course, this is something that you as a trader can take advantage of. Okay, so I'm just going to quickly look at my time. I still have a bit of time. Perfect. All right, so enough theory. Let's just look at some charts. And Steve, if there are any questions, please feel free to interrupt.
I will let you know, mate.
Perfect. Thank you. Okay, so let me move over to TradingView. All right, so this is a Microsoft chart on the 4-hour time frame. And on this chart, we have applied our first indicator, which is called 1, 2, 3 strike, which is our trend expert. It's designed to find strong trends. And whenever a strong trend is detected, an entry signal is generated on the chart. For example, here we had an indication that we are in an uptrend. We have a long entry signal here, which is this green cross, which is basically an indication to you, well, perhaps it's a good idea to go long at this point. The same can happen to the short side, which are these red crosses here. These are entry signals, bearish entry signals. In this case, an indication to you as a trader that you might want to consider going short at this point. Now, all of our indicators not only give you entry signals, but they will also give you exit suggestions, because managing a trade, getting out of a trade is just as important as getting into it. And these can be seen by these little dots on the chart here. So for example, here we had a long entry, and then we had a couple of partial exits along the way until we are finally flat. The number of partial exits that you want to take can be configured in the settings of the indicator. All right, so this is 1, 2, 3 strike. And what's really cool is that it actually shows you, as I promised before, on the chart directly what are the long and short win rates, historically speaking. So here we can see that to the long side, on this Microsoft chart on the 4-hour time frame, had a win rate of 71%, and to the short side of 70%. So pretty much the same both to the long and the short side. And this win rate was calculated based on a given look back period, which you can see here. So we looked at all the trades from April 24, 2022 up until today, and the win rates were calculated accordingly. And of course, the start date from when this back test should have been performed can be also configured in the settings of the indicator. Okay, so this is 1, 2, 3 strike for Microsoft, but it also works for other asset classes. So here, for example, I've applied it to the pound USD chart. In this case, it's a daily time frame. And again, we can see the same setup. We see our short entry signals here, a couple of nice short trades. We also see long entry signals along the way. And of course, on the chart, it is displayed what are the success rates, historically speaking. In this case, it's a daily chart. And since it's a longer time frame than the previous chart, our look back period is also further back. Here we start our back test basically from 2017, October 2017, up until today. All right, so roughly 5 years. Okay, so this is indicator number 1. Let's move on. Indicator number 2 was called divergence cloud, if you remember, and it looks as follows. So this is Visa on the 30-minute time frame. So it's an equity again. And the first thing you probably notice is, wow, what are these weird reddish or greenish areas on the chart? Good question. These are actually areas where the indicator detected either bullish, if it's greenish, or bearish divergence. Not every divergence leads to an entry signal right away, because other factors also need to come together. But that's a precondition for a bullish signal to occur or a bearish entry signal to occur. And many users of us, they actually use the color on the chart as an additional filter for their own trading system. So for example, maybe you follow a different system, maybe some kind of overbought, oversold system, and you're not sure about whether you should take it. Well, often users use the cloud color as an additional filter. They will only take a long trade if the cloud at the same time is green, or a short trade if at the same time this cloud is reddish. So it can be used for this purpose as well. But of course, our indicator also comes with its own signals, similar to 1, 2, 3 strike. You have your entry signals here. So here to the long side, here to the short side, and you do have your partial exit suggestions along the way. And of course, we also see, historically speaking, what has been the win rate for the long and the short side. And just one more example for divergence cloud. Here we have it applied to the gold futures on the 1 hour time frame. And again, the concept is quite similar. You see the entry signals, you see the to the long and short side, along with exit suggestions. You see the cloud color, which shows bullish, if it's green, or red, bearish divergence. And you see your success rates on the chart. All right, so one more indicator, and then I'm going to go explain a little bit more of how you can take advantage of this. The third indicator is called Volatility Crusher. And in fact, this is my personal favorite of the three. I like them all three, but this is my favorite because it matches my trading style the best. And of course, trading always is personal, so it's allowed for me to have a favorite indicator. So here we have it applied to a very short-term chart. It's the E-mini future chart on the 1 minute time frame. So super intraday, short-term. And the way this indicator works, it is designed to find lasting breakouts, or strong breakouts. And a strong breakout is, in our mind, at least a breakout which is likely to continue in the direction of the breakout for quite some time. And then you as a trader can just simply enter when a breakout has occurred in the direction of the breakout in the hope that price will continue. And you can see this here. We had a couple of long entry signals on Friday when the market was still open. We had a signal here and both profit targets. So this one comes with 2 profit targets, 1 and 2 in the trailing, so as you can see here. But in this case, these 2 signals, for example, to the long side, resulted in both targets being hit. Here we had a short trade which hit the first target. It missed the second target just by a few ticks. Here a long trade again, which hit both targets. Here a short trade, and so forth. It is my favorite indicator because the success rates are the highest for all the 3. This is not because the indicator is so much better. No, it's because the profit targets in this case are a bit closer than the stop loss, and therefore, obviously, you will get better success rate because you're aiming for less. It's obvious, but it fits my trading style because I just like the feeling of having multiple winners in a row. It goes for less. It just feels better to me. For the other 2 indicators, I should say that it's quite the opposite for divergence cloud and for 1, 2, 3 strike. And typically your winners are a bit bigger than your losers. Therefore, the success rates are also a bit lower. All right. So, but again, you can see exactly the same thing on the chart. You can see what, historically speaking, have been the success rates for this indicator. Now, let me quickly move back to my slides because we're not quite done yet. What we've seen basically is that, we've applied the indicators to the chart and it showed us, historically speaking, what has been the success rate. And I should tell you, sometimes, of course, I picked some good examples, but sometimes the odds or the success rates will not be very good. They will be less than 50%. Or sometimes they are good in the long direction, like very high, and quite bad in the short direction. What does this tell you as a user? Well, it will tell you, at least it would tell me personally, that if the odds are not in my favor, I'll stay out of this trade. I will not follow this entry signal because it hasn't been working very well in the past. So it's quite unlikely that it will now start working going to the future. At least that's how I look at it. Or it may tell you that if the odds to the long side are good, but the short side are pretty bad, I will only follow the long trades, but not the short signals. All right, but there's one more thing where the statistics are very useful. As everybody probably know, if you're a technical trader, if you use indicators, basically every indicator in the world comes with parameters. So for a moving average, for example, you have the moving average period as a parameter. Or for an RSI, you also have an RSI period as a parameter. But who's to say which parameter, which setting for this value is the best to use for your given chart? Because this can be quite different from symbol to symbol and from time frame to time frame. Now, and typically it's up to guesswork. You just fiddle around a little bit with it, and you hope that perhaps the setting that you came up with is the best one to be used. But typically you don't have any hard evidence. Well, when it comes to having our statistics, you actually get hard evidence, because you will see right on the chart if the setting that you've chosen is actually a good one or perhaps not such a good one. So let me just show you quickly by going back what I mean by this. So here we have a chart of Netflix on the 5-minute. And as you can see, the odds are somewhat, average. So 61% to the long side, 51% to the short side. What I can do now, I can perhaps fiddle around with the parameters of this indicator. So this case, it's divergence cloud. So for example, I could maybe change the min price move parameter. It's not important that you understand in this presentation what this parameter exactly does. It's more the concept that's important. So perhaps I change this one from 100 to, let's say, 120. And once I do this, observe the odds, they will update immediately. So a very small change, the long efficiency increased to 62%, short efficiency stayed the same. So perhaps let's try a bigger value, maybe 200. So again, I fiddle around with it. And as you can see now, it will update again. Oh, it increased. Now it's been 75% success trades to the long side and 66% to the short side. So maybe that's the way to go. Maybe let's go to 250. Again, it will update in real time. And once this is done, still a bit better again, maybe 450. As you can see, you get instant feedback as to how well your parameter change has been turned out. In this case, it got worse again. So perhaps there's a sweet spot for this parameter around 300. All right. So this is where these statistics can also be quite useful. Now, you may think, well, fiddling around with the parameters manually and looking at the parameters, at the statistics, whether it was a good change or bad, that's tedious and that's challenging. And you're right. It is actually very tedious. And it's something probably you won't do because, if trading is too complicated, chances are you won't use this manual adjustment of the parameters. So therefore, we thought, maybe there's something we can do, because we're trying to make the life easier of a trader. Maybe there's something we can do to make your life a little bit easier. And we came up with the latest generation of our indicators, which are currently available for TradingView. We came up with what we call auto optimization, which will automatically find the best parameters for you based on the historical performance. So it's basically, again, an on-the-chart optimization, which will come up with the best parameters. And how this works, let me quickly show you by going back to this Netflix example. So let me close this, this parameter window. Let's just look at what we can see here in this box. So we can see what are the current statistics for the current settings, and since when these statistics have been calculated, the start date. What we can also see is this line here, optimized settings. And this basically tells you which setting which setting basically would perform the best. You see this here, auto number 5. So what does this mean? So let me go back to the actual parameters. You can see here in settings used, you can be switched set to manual, where you can set all these parameters manually, or you can choose any of our presets. We have 10 presets, auto 1 up until auto 10. In this case, based on this box here, we know that auto 5 is the best one to use. Once I apply this, so you can see here, now my statistics will update once again and will give me a long efficiency, in this case of 86% and short efficiency of 76%. And of course, these statistics are higher because the indicator had predetermined that based on the historical data from this period on, setting number 5, auto setting number 5 is the best performing one, which gives us the highest win rates in both the long and short direction. And just one more thing before I conclude is, let's say you have a bias either to the long side or the short side, or maybe you're a stock trader and you cannot even go short because your account or your broker does not allow it. So in this case, the short direction or the short efficiency might not be of interest for you. So what you can do is you can change the trading style parameter, which exists for all 3 indicators, to long only. And once you do this, the optimization will be performed solely on basis of the long trades. And the settings will be chosen where the long trades would have performed best, historically speaking. All right. So as you can see,
Thank you. Thank you, Daniel. We have questions for you. I wanted you to conclude so I can start throwing questions at you. If you're ready, we can begin.
I'm ready. Always ready.
Okay. Paul is asking, morning, gents, blah, blah, blah. First question. Are the backtest results available to view? Second question. When he says odds are in your favor with a refined backtest of over 2,500 trades, what does he mean exactly by odds in favor? So can Daniel define this? I'm interested because as a day trader, I only trade divergence, he says.
Yeah. So what you see here in terms of statistics, like long efficiency and short efficiency, are basically the win rates of your signals. So what we do, we basically compare our exits to the entry. And if it was for a long trade, if the exit was higher at a higher price, we consider it a win. And if not, it would be considered a loss. And basically, based on this, we calculate these odds. We cannot calculate statistics such as profit factor and similar because we don't know what position sizing would have been and how much perhaps you would have taken out at every partial exit. So this was not possible. And what you can see here basically is the historical win rate of the signals. So.
Okay. Abdul is asking, if efficiency is same as 68% for long and short, then which way we go? It looks like market in range, equilibrium.
No, you would only enter in any case, whether this is even right now it says it has 84% to the long side. You would not enter long now because this trade is done, whatever you had here. You would need to wait for the next signal. And at that point, when a signal comes up, either long or short, you will consider the historical statistics to make a decision of whether you should follow the signal or not. But you will only act basically when a new signal comes up. And actually, this brings up a good feature. All our indicators, they come with pre-built alerts. So you can be notified whenever a new signal comes up by a TradingView alert, or if you use a different platform by an alert on NinjaTrader or TradeStation or Thinkorswim.
Simon says very impressive work and presentation done. Thank you, Daniel. Kim says very interesting product. Mary says fascinating product. Karolis, I don't know exactly, is asking. He says, my trading method is focused on Elliott waves and Fibonacci, so my knowledge is limited on indicators. The only indicator I work with is CCI, Commodity Channel Index. My question is, would these indicators be adjusted to my trading methodology?
Yeah, so it's a good point. So our indicators, basically, they don't limit any methodology, whether you're a day trader, a swing trader, an investor, it doesn't matter. They all can be adjusted to this, and they even run on all timeframes, asset classes. So whether you only trade FX or cryptos or only equities, it doesn't matter. So basically, they run everywhere, anywhere, and they support any trading style. So for sure.
Richard is also asking, I think this is an important question. What is the typical minimum sample size?
Oh, it's based on your look back period. So you can, so let me just show on the chart. So here we have.
I'm assuming then that perhaps he's asking your suggestion, about what would be.
So
from your experience.
So actually, our indicator will automatically find the what we think the best one for you based on the time frame. So on the 5-minute chart, which is a very short-term time frame, it's much less. So here in this case, beginning of or end of September. If you go back to the daily, it will automatically use a much longer look-back period. So we have defaults built in, which will choose the look-back period that we think is best.
Is appropriate, yeah.
But you can override it if you want. But it always uses the what we think the best settings. It's built in, and you can just observe by applying it to the chart what that period is.
Infinix is asking if it will work on gold, and the answer I don't even need you to say that. Yes, it will. It will work for any market. Another question from Kim: how would you manage drawdown based on the win to loss ratio?
Yeah, I mean, just like any trade, you can. Well, our signals few entries, but also exits. But if you want to have additional measures in place or controls in place to manage losses, maybe an emergency stop loss and so forth, you can do this. So this can be combined basically with any methodology that you have in place or any risk management technique that you're comfortable with. It doesn't stop you. And in fact, our indicators can be often used in combination of what you already have in place.
Andreas is asking, can it be installed on MetaTrader charts?
Yes. Yeah. That's actually, let me maybe go to this real quick. So all our indicators, they come with entries and exits. They run on any chart. And on most trading platforms, I'm going to say one word about this. They all come with our real-time statistics and with auto optimization. Auto optimization right now is only available for TradingView. We're working on the conversion of this particular feature to other platforms, but all the other stuff, they work on many different platforms. So we support NinjaTrader, we support Thinkorswim, MetaTrader 4 and 5, TradeStation, Modifwave, and so forth, MetaStock. So
Zenvei is asking, are the indicators free? I can tell you in advance they're not, but I assume Daniel is now going to give us an idea of the pricing and perhaps some kind of do you have some kind of offer for people?
Yeah, so we do have an offer. We have available for a very short period of time a lifetime package, which is at $997, which will include all 3 indicators I've shown today: 1, 2, 3 strike, which is our trend expert; Divergence Cloud, which is just designed to find pullbacks and reverses; and Volatility Crusher, my personal favorite for trading breakouts. And all 3 together with the statistics and with auto optimization. We offer them for $997 lifetime. There won't be any recurring charges ever again. But I should tell you that we are about to switch to a subscription model. It's I know it's not a favorite thing that clients want to have because it sucks to keep paying, but we have no choice from our perspective, because we try to give the best support to every client that we possibly can. And we spend a lot of time with support and answering emails and trying to help clients become more successful. But this is only possible if we actually have some sort of recurring income model for this, which will allow us to give this continued support. So, but for a very short period of time and for a limited number of seats, we do offer this package for life. No more recurring charges at this price. All you need to do is to go to tradingindicators.com/AO. If you're wondering what AO stands for, auto optimization. So tradingindicators.com/AO. And perhaps, Steve, I can just put this into the chat as well, real quick.
Absolutely, of course. Yeah. Don't even ask. Go ahead and do it. Richard says he needs an answer. Probably didn't see his question. What is the minimum, a typical minimum frequency of the samples in the look-back period?
It depends a bit how you configured the indicator or how you choose the parameters. You can choose parameters which are very selective, and then you have fewer samples, but you can also have some where you get lots of signals. So it's a bit hard to say. My personal is Volatility Crusher, my personal favorite, because it's quite selective by default. If you apply it to a 1-day chart, you get about 3 signals a day, at least with the settings I typically use. And the look-back period for a 1-minute chart is about 1.5 months. So how many trading days are these? Maybe 30 trading days. So 30 times 3, 90 trades in the look-back period for that one. So, but it's a bit different, but give or take 90 to 100 trades you'll get as a result.
Another question. Do you exclusively trade using your indicators?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, yes, that's true. I do use them as the base for everything I do. So we put our money where our mouth is, and we use only our own indicators. But sometimes I supplement it with some manual analysis. I definitely do look at some support and resistance area. And I may not want to take a trade which trades right into the resistance if it's a long trade, for example. So I see there's not much room left. So I do a bit of extra work. But
so on occasion you might filter manually a little bit further some of the signals.
Yes, that's right. And yeah, that's right.
Okay.
And one last thing I'd like to mention. So if you think, wow, this is very expensive, which I get it, we do offer a 7-day money back guarantee. So if you just want to try them out, there's virtually no risk for you. So if you don't like them, or if you say, oh, this is not for me, just drop us a note and you'll be fully refunded within 7 days.
No asterisks on that, right,
no,
Daniel?
No, I'm trying to be as ethical as now.
I can personally vouch for the professionalism and honesty of Daniel. We've been working with him for years, and our partners in Trader Summit have been working with him for much longer than that. I personally vouch that he's a very, very serious professional and very good at what he does. Yeah. That's my part in the conversation.
Thank you.
I think he's a mad scientist.
Yes,
yeah. But in a good way, no?
Yeah,
but of course in a good way.
Yes.
And can I just say one quick thing? Because I know we do have clients right now watching who may have our indicators, who might be interested for a different platform than TradingView. So currently the auto optimization feature is only available for TradingView. Other platforms are coming. Next on our to-do list is NinjaTrader, and then MetaStock, and then the other ones will come a bit later. But if you want to lock in this lifetime deal, you can just simply send me an email. It's either go to our homepage, there's a contact form, or send me an email. The email is coming in a second, or I put them into the chat. Drop me a note, I can lock you in. And one last thing, if you already have, here's the email, info@tradingindicators.com. And let me just put this quickly into the chat as well, if you don't mind. And then I'm almost done.
Absolutely, Daniel. Because we already have Jim with us, and we need to move on to the next one.
I know. But I have one last thing to say. If you already have an older version of the Power Bundle, which does not have the auto optimization feature yet, again, drop us a note and we'll work something out, how you can perhaps lock in the upgrade for auto optimization when it becomes available for your trading platform. And
thank you very much, Daniel.
And that's it. So thank you guys so much. Thanks for spending your time, and have a nice day.